It's here. We're finally here. We finally got the new episode of Dragon Ball Daima, episode 12, and we finally got Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. And a lot of Vegeta fans are excited, and this is probably one of the best episodes so far in Dragon Ball Daima. And it was non-stop action, non-stop just amazing stuff that was going on in this episode. We got a continuation of both fights with Vegeta in the Tamagami 2, and of course Majin Buu versus Tamagami 1. Now, a lot of things we got to see in this fight happen, and there's a lot of stuff to take in when we come into this battle. And the episode starts off where we left off. It shows Vegeta pretty much, he survived. He wasn't swallowed by the Kraken, and they continue their fight. And at this point, we get to see Vegeta. He acts as Super Saiyan 1, and he goes into 2. He's pretty much getting, the better of Tamagami 2. But eventually we see Neva decides to step in and say, since the Saiyans love to fight, he's pretty much giving them what they want. And at this point, he decides to pretty much power up the Tamagami. And the Tamagami, either he's powering up the Tamagami or either the Dragon Ball, because that's kind of like the source of their energy. And at this point, we see Tamagami 2 begins to transform and change colors. And now he gets a lot more stronger and is giving Vegeta trouble. But then finally, he knocks Vegeta in the water, and then we get Vegeta to start powering up. And at this point, we get him pretty much transforming into Super Saiyan 3, where pretty much he's outclassing Tamagami 2 at this point. And you got to keep in mind, Tamagami 2 is way stronger than Tamagami 3. The same as Tamagami 1. Now with this power up that he got from Neva, he can probably be more stronger than Tamagami 1 at this point. But Vegeta turning Super Saiyan 3 definitely outclassed him. We get to see Vegeta in all his glory. And one thing I love to see is that when Vegeta gets a new transformation, he always tends to shine with the transformation. That's why I kind of like to see Vegeta when he gets new transformation. It doesn't really go wasted when he gets a new form and enter battle. Even when we see Vegeta turn Super Saiyan 1 for the first time against Android 19, he pretty much dominated that fight. And the same thing when we see Vegeta enter his extended Saiyan form, which is grade 2, against Semi-Perfect Cell. And at this point, we see Vegeta kind of dominating him, but of course, he gets outclassed once Cell into his perfect form. And that kind of puts a stop to, Vegeta at this point. But typically, Vegeta always does well with a new transformation, and pretty much at this point, we don't know when he unlocked it, but sometime a little bit after the Buu fight, Vegeta definitely went to go train by himself and intends to pretty much achieve whatever form that Goku get. Vegeta's going to pretty much go after it. So this pretty much shuts down all the doubts about Vegeta being able to turn Super Saiyan 3 in the debates, because Vegeta always knew how to do this form. And the thing is, like I said, the drawbacks, that's something that Goku talked about. And Vegeta just pretty much decided to probably focus more on Super Saiyan 2 than actually focusing on Super Saiyan 3. And I feel like in Dragon Ball Super, if we never got any of the God transformations, or they just continue with GT, it probably would have been that path. Or if they decided to do something else, I figured that Vegeta probably would have trained to probably push to get a form that's probably higher than Super Saiyan 3, like a Super Saiyan 4 transformation in the regular Super Saiyan transformation, not the Super Saiyan 4 that we got in GT, which I did a video on. But that's a video for another day. Now, back to the episode here, we get Majin Buu, who's pretty much doing well against Tamagami 1, but decides to start sitting out and doesn't want to fight. And they're trying to figure out what's wrong, and he says he wants chocolate. So pretty much at this point, he decides to just feel burnt out and not do anything, and pretty much Tamagami 1 is pretty much starting to take advantage of this. Now, Majin Buu says he's going to run and go get some chocolate, which he does. And once he gives him the chocolate, Majin Buu starts to power up and start to wreak havoc on Tamagami 1 by shooting these big blasts, and very creative. One thing I gotta say, I love how they made the Majin Buu fight, because they make him fight so creative, even more than what we've seen with Majin Buu a little bit. They're like, with him pretty much using all his abilities to work, except for absorption, because we haven't seen that yet. But ultimately, we may probably see something like that. Who knows? But at this point, Majin Buu does defeat Tamagami 1. But like any of the Tamagamis, after you defeat them, you still got one final test that you have to do, which is not a fighting test, which with them, it was a math problem. But luckily, Majin Buu was able to keep track and pretty much keep up with this and give Majin Buu the answer. And they was able to get the Dragon Ball. At this point, finally, Goma finally realizes that someone is trying to get the Dragon Ball in the Demon Realm #1, where he's at. And at this point, he realizes Dr. Irinsu, and he's not trusting. He's getting super upset. And Degasu looks very surprised and shocked and starting to panic and worry as well. So now they're worried about both fights, and they see that they got the Dragon Ball. But at this point, they cut back to Vegeta, and they see Vegeta has defeated the Tamagami 2 as well. Now, Vegeta also had to do a test, and they was pretty much asking him a question, which Vegeta got the answer right about snakes not eating biscuits. But it was very funny at the end because Goku was trying to give Vegeta a Medigel and tell him it's a bug that's kind of worked like the sensu bean, and Vegeta is telling him that he doesn't eat bugs. And Goku's like, you grew up eating critters and stuff like that. And Vegeta's like, he's more refined. So that was a very funny moment and stuff. But Goku's like, he doesn't talk refined. So it's like, it's a very funny moment when we seen that scene. And it definitely is just an interesting episode from the beginning to the end. And it was just like, a big, episode, I was saying. And I think this is going to be a good way to end off the year. Of course, we don't have a new episode of Dragon Ball Daima next week, but it will return on January 10th. So be on the lookout for that episode to get episode 13. But I say for the end of the year, this was a great episode and a good treat to all the Vegeta fans out there to see, the Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta at work and showing him to actually giving Super Saiyan 3 an actual victory in the series, not the movie, but the actual, main series. So that was something good to see. Now, don't forget, we got more videos coming out. We're going to do some more separate breakdown videos on different things that we've seen in this episode about. We're going to talk about Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. We're going to talk about Neva. We're going to talk about a lot more things from this episode. Instead of just giving like a typical breakdown, we're going to do separate videos on them for each of the different things that happened in this episode. And some of our predictions and ideas of what we think is going to come next in Dragon Ball Daima and the future of Dragon Ball Super and just Dragon Ball universe as a whole. Like I said, you guys get in the comments, tell us what was your favorite scenes from the episode and what do you think about Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta.